Hi, I'm Lauren Portlock, and when I'm not taking care of a bazillion marketing activities for EVB, I'm listening to the P.O.W.E.R podcast.
Being a woman in business can be demanding and draining, but that has never deterred a determined woman to go after her dreams. That's why you're in the right place. This is the Power Plug podcast, brought to you by EVB, where we believe in the power of you. At EVB, we're proud to be the first community bank in Virginia to reach out to women in business with a customized program designed to meet your unique needs. In each episode, expect to hear engaging interviews filled with advice, insights, and recommendations to charge you up and build your business. Now, for your host, Mary Foley.
Welcome back to the EVB Power Plug podcast. You are in the right place for P.O.W.E.R, the potential of women entrepreneurs realized, and all women in business with an entrepreneurial spirit. I'm Mary Foley, and today is episode 18. It's May, and in addition to this podcast, there's a lot going on for women in Virginia to gather, learn, and connect to grow their business. In fact, EVB Power has an ongoing calendar of an amazing list of events taking place from Richmond region to Williamsburg to Virginia Beach and beyond. To see the list, just go to evbpower.com and click on the Events tab. And while you're there, make sure to subscribe to the Power Plug podcast so you can have each episode available through your phone. You just click on the podcast tab, and then you click on the iTunes image if you have an iPhone, or you click on the Stitcher image if you have an Android phone. It's really super easy to create a free account, and it makes listening easy while you're on the go. You're going to feel like a hip millennial. Speaking of hip millennials, today I'm talking with Lauren Portlock. Lauren is the marketing coordinator for EVB, and she's a young woman who breaks the common stereotype of a slacker millennial. A self-proclaimed tomboy to girly girl, Lauren graduated from Longwood University with a communications studies degree. And for the last 2 years, she's been using what she's learned and then some as the right-hand gal for EVB's Chief Marketing Officer, Michelle Hastings-Simon. And one of the things she does is to make sure this podcast is up and that you know it's available. Lauren, thanks for being here and also on the other side of the EVB Power Plug podcast.
Thanks for having me, Mary.
Well, I want to get your insights about how to be savvy in social media. And so to start, whether millennial or boomer, professional or business owner, in your opinion, how important is it to have a digital footprint?
I think it's extremely important, Mary. Everything is so digital these days and everything's online that if you don't have a social media profile such as a LinkedIn or a Facebook or whatnot, it almost seems as if you're not legit. I think especially as a young professional, it's extremely important to have a LinkedIn profile, especially if you're a young professional who's out there looking for a job, for example. Employers are going to be looking at your LinkedIn and your other social media websites. And another interesting fact that I found is that they're almost starting to look at your social media websites instead of your references. I know internally here when we've been hiring a marketing intern, we'll go out and find them on social media and kind of look to see what their presence is there. And I think it just goes to, your reputation online in general and looking into what you're posting, and employers kind of want to see who you are in the digital space.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense because who do you put out there as references? The people who love you, right? Somebody who's going to say something good, and there's kind of like I wonder if I'm getting the real deal here about Lauren or about Mary. So going online to social media instead of references, very interesting. Love what you said about it being legit. I've had so many business owners, more of my age, and they wonder if they should be on social media. And unfortunately, I come to the same conclusion you do. You don't exist if you don't have at least one social media account. And as a professional and as a business person, LinkedIn. Recently, you said that people need to watch their social media posts. Now with references, I can see why. But do millennials tend to follow that advice, or are they so used to social media from a young age that they kind of think it doesn't apply to them?
I think it's interesting. It definitely applies. And in the Facebook realm, people have gotten so used to posting what they had for dinner or, posting pictures of your vacation or your girls' night out, which is great. But I think it's also important to remember what the social platforms are used for. So while Facebook is social and it's acceptable to post that kind of stuff there, when you're on LinkedIn, you really need to make sure that you're keeping it professional. And I have seen a couple of people, we won't name any names, people that might have gone to college with me or previous colleagues who have posted some things that should not be on LinkedIn. LinkedIn really has to remain a professional platform where you share articles and connect with people you want to do business with. People on LinkedIn don't want to see your picture in a bikini or don't really want to see pictures of you and your family on vacation. So I think it's definitely important to remember what you're posting and on which platform.
What about when you find an image that's a little less flattering of you than you would like? Is there a way we can get rid of them or at least minimize the exposure when, let's say, someone Googles our name?
Absolutely, yes. And I think an important thing to do when you're looking at your presence, online is to Google yourself and see what comes up, because there could be a picture from 5 years ago that you didn't even know was taken and you're tagged in it. And it might be, something that you really don't want out there for your company and your professional colleagues to see. So I think step one is Googling yourself and seeing what's out there. And so if you were to find something that you didn't like, there are steps you can take. One step you can do is create a Google profile, which if you have a Gmail account, you already have one, but that's where you can put in relevant information that you want somebody to see when they Google you. So like your bio, your contact information, for example, if an employer wanted to reach out to you. And so then if you did find something you didn't like, you can go about contacting the webmaster of the site and where the content is hosted and asking them to take it down. And if that doesn't work, you can submit a request for removal to Google.
It's great to know that it's possible to get those images either out and gone or to raise something up higher in a search result like a Google profile, because I've got to think Google put some preferences on their own stuff to come up to the top of the list than some other sites that may not get as much activity.
Definitely.
So in fact, what if a friend posts a photo you don't want to have public or that you're tagged in? So it wasn't your fault. If someone else is doing, what should we do then?
So in this realm on Facebook, for example, there are settings, and I've always had my profile set up this way, that you can do so that you have to approve anything that you are tagged in. And that's just good practice, even for a picture where you just don't like your smile in it. You can go into your Facebook settings and set it so that you have to allow on your timeline anything that you are tagged in. So if you are tagged in something that you don't want to be, you could just hit hide from timeline. So it wouldn't show up on your timeline. Now, the only bad thing about that is that while it might not show up on your timeline, it is still out there on the person who tagged you in it. So it's not a completely foolproof way to keep it from showing up, but it does keep it off of your profile.
I've also noticed on Facebook when I'm tagged in something, it does give me an option for me to untag myself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that at first, because I have seen, and I've been I wouldn't even call it a victim, but let's just put it this way. I've had people tag me on their post. It has nothing to do with me. It's just they're using that as a way for me to pay attention to that post, and usually it's promoting something that they're doing. And although I appreciate promotion, just like, the next gal, I don't appreciate the tagging aspect, like you were saying, because of what it does to put on my timeline and continue to remain associated with my profile and account when I didn't ask for that.
It's really easy to untag yourself from a photo. You can just click on the photo and then you click those three little dots up in the top right-hand corner and you can remove the tag. Which similarly, a lot of people are on Instagram as well. And Instagram functions very similar to Facebook in that you can prevent yourself from being tagged in unflattering photos on Instagram in a very similar way by clicking on the photo, clicking on the dots, and you can untag yourself from that picture so that it doesn't show up on your profile, which is also a good practice as an individual, but also for companies who are on Instagram and might be tagged in photos, just like you were saying, just for promotion. So it's a good way to keep a handle on what your company is being tagged in as well.
That's a good point. That's right. Whether it's Facebook or whether it's LinkedIn or whether it's another platform, really good to know. Okay, great. Hey, well, Lauren, we're going to have to take a quick break so I can do a little deleting, if you know what I mean. All right, a little untagging. But when we come back, I want to get more of your social media savvy tips. So hold on. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Julie Hill, the Director of P.O.W.E.R at EVB. As a woman in business, you know that it all comes down to great relationships with your customers, employees, and suppliers. That is why it's critical to have a banking partner who truly meets your financial needs and someone you know and trust. And that is why we've designed the P.O.W.E.R program to help you make valuable connections. Whether it's with one of our small group P.O.W.E.R join-up sessions, sponsor events, online P.O.W.E.R member directory, or the P.O.W.E.R Place Facebook group, we want to help you create great relationships to grow your business. To find out more, go to evbpower.com.
Welcome back. This is Mary Foley, and today I'm talking with Lauren Portlock, Marketing Coordinator for EVB, and we're talking how to be savvy with social media. Now, Lauren, there are professional-oriented social media platforms like LinkedIn, and then there are more social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. Is it okay to have at least one social media account where we can just say whatever we want?
So the quick answer to that would be no. While they are all social platforms, it's still really important to remember that whatever you put online is out there for everybody to see. You know, there are the social-based ones like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram where people want to see, you know, your girls' night out or your most recent vacation. But I think it's really important to remember that anybody who is friends with you on Instagram or Facebook is probably going to be friends with you on LinkedIn as well. So it's really important to understand the personal brand that you're portraying across all platforms. It's kind of like Kim Brundage was saying in her podcast that we just listened to last week, that it really is ideal to have a consistent personal brand across all of your digital footprint.
Okay. So basically, like you said, no, you got to behave across all of them. On that, are there any topics or subjects you recommend we should avoid?
Well, I think, and we've all seen it, especially this past year, I personally try to avoid posting anything too political because we know that gets very polarizing and causes a lot of different opinions. So I think in general, it's good to just avoid it altogether. I mean, it's good to have your own opinion, but you definitely need to be careful about what you post and before you go on a rant on Twitter or Facebook. And going back to what I was saying about, you know, anybody can see what you're posting. And so I think a good rule of thumb to use is that, okay, if I put this on my profile, would I be embarrassed to talk about it with a colleague or a potential customer come Monday morning?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. I definitely saw, and you probably too, and probably a lot of our listeners through the presidential campaign, there were people who just said, I'm unfriending you, I'm blocking off your messages, and really a lot of division happened. And and obviously, you know, we all want to be encouraged to be part of the political process here in the United States, but it's a very volatile time. So you're such a wise millennial. I'm telling you, you know, the sage advice. So just kind of like watch it on there. And then I'm thinking, okay, because of these topics that sometimes can be inflamed or other ones that could be just embarrassing, as a business owner with employees, should I have a social media policy? And if so, what should it contain?
Yeah, I think encouraging your employees to use social media is great because, as a company, if you are out there in the digital space, you want them to like and share and comment on your posts and post good reviews for your company. So I think that is great because it increases your engagement and increases the awareness of the brand. However, I think it's really important, if you are going to encourage your employees, that they understand that they are a steward of your business. So even, on Saturday when they're out on the town, they're still employed by you. So it's just reminding them to be mindful of what they post and that, you probably aren't going to be in the same career your entire life. So, like we said earlier, employers are going to go and look at your social media. So, it really can affect your entire career in general.
Kind of intimidating, isn't it, sometimes, to even do anything on social media when you put those stakes out there?
It really is. And, oftentimes we'll go out and want to review a company or a brand, which is great. If you had a great experience at a company, by all means, go out and give them a great review. And similarly, if you had a poor experience, you need to let the company know. But it's so interesting to me because sometimes I'll see these horrible reviews on companies where they're just loaded with expletives and threats, and I think people forget that these reviews are out there and your name's attached to them. So if somebody Googles you and you left a scathing review loaded with bad words 5 years ago, it's going to come up still and it's still going to be linked to your name.
Yeah.
So that really goes back to being mindful of what you put out there and just always remembering how you want to portray yourself online.
For business owners who want to create a social media policy, there's a lot probably to that. What are some guidelines or some thoughts on how to get started?
I guess it just goes to, if you want to allow them to access social media, during the day and all of that. And if you do, just reminding them that, you are keeping tabs on what they do online, but you do encourage them to go out and be a steward of the business and to share and like and post comments, on behalf of your business and just help further generate the awareness of the brand in a positive manner.
So much of it is when I was managing people, when I was in corporate America, I was being clear about expectations and giving some understanding as to why do we even have that expectation? Why do we even have that policy? And most people who are reasonable or good employees go, okay, I can agree with that. And it wasn't necessarily a problem. But if I was not aware and then I get my hand slapped, I don't appreciate that from an employer. But if it's clear, then I know how to navigate the territory.
Right. I definitely think if you are going to encourage, your employees to utilize social media, that setting some clear expectations, or even maybe it's a policy that, you have them review once a year and sign, just setting those expectations out there for them so that there are no surprises and that, if they were to get in trouble for something, they would have an understanding of why.
Now, I know you haven't been but only a few years out of college, and you've, of course, spent a lot of that time with EVB as a marketing coordinator. I said earlier, you're not the slacker millennial. You're a very driven woman. I've seen you do more and more and more for EVB in the marketing department. From a millennial perspective, when you look at some of your age peers, would there be some real social media advice in addition to what you've shared that you'd say if you were speaking just to them about what to do or not to do on social media?
I would really just say that no matter what social platform you are on, be mindful of the personal brand that you're portraying. I think some people think that, well, it's on Facebook, so nobody's ever going to see it, or it's on my Twitter, so nobody follows me on Twitter but my friends, and it just goes back to everything I was saying earlier. People are going to find you if they want to find you. So, to my generation, just be mindful of everything you post and be mindful of your surroundings when you're taking pictures or you're in pictures, because, anything can end up on social media.
And some of those things can be great, right? They can all support your brand. They can help you actually even express aspirations and desires of your career, let alone what you'd like to do personally. So it can go the other way too. I know we talked a lot about being mindful and cautious, but social media is a great asset that not only business owners, but every individual can use in a savvy way. And that's what I think millennials have figured out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, you can use it to highlight your accomplishments, highlight any continuing education you've done, highlight your volunteering, highlight, even on Facebook, highlight, the good times with your family, put out positive things. That's what I think people want to see in general anyways on these social platforms. We don't want to see you ranting and raving about something. I want to see your accomplishments and the good things you're doing for your company or your business or just in general.
You were mentioning earlier about the importance of personal branding and the podcast recently with Kim Brundage, and she really focuses on the imagery, right? And the authenticity. There's authenticity too that gets portrayed in the snapshot photos, right? And what you comment about them, that you may post on a site like Facebook, or like an article that you feature that's not yours but someone else's, but really says, hey, I really thought this was great because, and then you fill in the blank, and it's on LinkedIn, and it's really geared for career business people. So that's all part of your brand as well, right?
Right, absolutely. Anything that you share out is kind of a reflection on you in general, which can be a great thing to help, build up your personal brand. And hey, I know what I'm talking about. Here's some great tips on this or that. So I definitely agree. I think anything you post or share can really help to build your authenticity.
Well, Lauren, we only had a short time to talk today. This is obviously a big subject, but you said you were going to provide some additional resources for listeners who want more. Explain what that is.
Yes, so I actually have a PDF that's got a few pointers on your LinkedIn profile and kind of, the imagery you should use and a template to write your summary and just a few pointers to get your LinkedIn profile up and running and looking good. And then I've also got some steps on going back to what we were talking about earlier about how to delete any negative images of yourself on Google or Facebook and Instagram and kind of how to unattach yourself from those.
I love that. Unattached. I had nothing to do with that post right there. I'm going to That's great. Well, that's really helpful. And that would be a great compliment too if someone wants to really beef up their LinkedIn profile, get your PDF, look at those suggestions, and then also listen to the podcast, if they haven't already, with Cheryl Matt, who has a lot of expertise on LinkedIn as well. And that, I think, will really set you up really well for LinkedIn. And then, of course, the other aspects that you gave are how to, I want to call it like the social media talk to the hand. I wasn't there. I didn't do that. Okay, that's good to know, too. Everything that you've said today, what's one last piece of advice that you'd like to leave with everyone?
Always be mindful of the personal brand you are portraying and utilize social media to really build yourself up and show the world, what a career-oriented and what kind of person, whether that's individual or, professional you can be. You can use social media to really build a strong brand for yourself that, colleagues and employers alike are going to look at. And so you can really use social media to your advantage.
Terrific, Lauren. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here and helping us all as individuals and as business owners to continue to navigate and be more savvy about social media.
Isn't it amazing everything you need to know to run a business? Today's guest shared a bit of their expertise to make us all a little smarter. Often the smartest, most productive thing is not just knowing what to do, but knowing who can do it for you. That's one of the reasons why the P.O.W.E.R program is so, powerful. With over 600 members and growing, we have hundreds of women in the region who are experts at what they do, and they share those powerful connections. I know firsthand because as the Director of Power at EVB, I get to talk to them every day and help foster those connections. I'm Julie Hill, and I would be happy to talk to you too. To find out more, reach out to us at evbpower.com.
Wow, that was fast. But we hope that you're feeling recharged and re-energized to continue to power up your business and go after your dreams. Love this Power Plug episode? Let us know. Leave a comment on Facebook or visit us at evbpower.com, where you can hear more episodes just like this one to keep believing in the power of you, just like we do.